Hi everyone, welcome to our tamale cooking class with Luis Yanes. I first heard about Luis through a video of him teaching us how to make pepian. And what I
Right.
loved about it was how accessible it was. Not just because it was in English, but it was funny and it just took all of the intimidation out of cooking, especially a typical Guatemalan recipe. And Luis is a home cook, brewer, and a licensed New York sightseeing guide in New York City. He has enjoyed cooking since he was a small child, running around his home village in La Reforma in Monja, Jalapa. Guatemala is not only the birthplace of Luis, but also the place that inspires him the most with food. You can find him in New York with his wife, either dining out, but most commonly inviting friends over to experience home-cooked meals with a twist of his Guatemalan culture. So with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Luis.
All right. Hey, everyone. How's it going? I hope everyone's having a really beautiful day. So let's get started. So just like Gemma said, what we're going to be doing is tamale making course, pretty much. And I mean, tamales is one of those really quintessential meals that you have in Guatemala. And in Central America, there's like other varieties of it, but for the most part, they share the same ingredients and they also have something in common. And that one thing in common is that they're all delicious, they're all very dense meals to have, and they're all really filling. So, with that said, most people that have tamales, I mean, these things go back years. People would have them. Just one will last you pretty much the whole day. All that energy, all the calories that you have in there, it's like pretty much like for the whole day. Hopefully, everyone got the recipe and we're going to get started. If there are any changes to the recipe, then just we'll make sure to mention them in the updated recipe. Okay, but for the most part, let's get down to what actually composes tamale. Here we go. All right, first part is the masa, right? So the masa that we have traditionally is made out of corn flour. We're also going to be using rice flour, and I already put some consomme in here, which is just chicken seasoning. And yeah, consomme is kind of like cheating a little bit, but there's a ton of flavor. I mean, there's a lot of salt in there as well. But for the most part, it will give our tamale that flavor, kind of big flavor that we're looking for. This is what it looks like. I'll just bring it up to the camera real quick. Hopefully I don't drop it on my laptop. So that's what it looks like. All those little specks that you see there are just consomme. All right, and this is exactly how my grandma would make it. This is actually exactly how my mom makes it, and she got the recipe from our like great aunt or something. So this is straight up Guatemalan. You can't get any more Guatemalan than this. All right, so that's the first part. First part, masa. The second part is going to be called something. It's something called recado. Recado really just means like a gravy, right? And it's going to be made up of a few things. Most importantly, chilies. So we got some dried chilies here. Again, all the details of the chilies and how much you'll need and what kind you'll need are going to be in the recipe. So make sure to look out for that one. We're going to need onions. We got some garlic in here as well. A lot of different colors. We got some tomatoes, just regular like Roman tomatoes, I think, or plum tomatoes is what they call them. And then some tomatillos, right? So tomatillos are going to add a little bit of acidity to our sauce, which is going to be really nice. And we got some canela, or you can see that. There we go. That's just cinnamon. Okay, what we're going to do with these is we're going to roast them, and then we're going to kind of liquefy them into a sauce. And so this is what it looks like. I mean, you can see it's really beautiful, tons and tons of colors in there, right? So we're going to give them a really deep, kind of like a char, and then we're going to make our sauce with that. And also in the sauce, there's a few other nuts that go in here, or seeds. We got some sesame seeds and also some pumpkin seeds, which we're going to roast as well. And then we got some peppers and potatoes, which we're going to peel and we're going to just cut into small pieces and then put them on our tamale at the very end. So just save this for later. And then the last part, which is very unique to this dish, and honestly, I think it's probably one of the most important parts of a tamale, is the banana leaf. You see it? Hello. So the banana leaf, really, really important because that's what's really going to impart tons and tons of flavor into your tamale. And you'll be able to know like that's exactly the flavor that you're looking for. Okay, so we'll put these to the side. and we'll get started with our vegetables. All right, so like I said before, let me just start cleaning up my little section here. As you notice, I'm like super organized. I'm like very like crazy about organization. So that's how I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start my pan right now on like, maybe like medium high, something like that. Okay, and I have two pans. I have one that's like around this big, like it's like a regular pan. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it right here on the flames. And then I'm gonna turn my other one on. I have like a small little tiny burner up here. And I have another one that's like around this size, very small. I'm gonna put just my seeds in here, okay? So I'm gonna get this really nice and hot first. And meanwhile that gets really nice and hot, I'm gonna start cleaning my peppers. If you hear them, they kind of sound like maracas. You know why? Because it's party time. All right, let me get my my knife set here. I'm also really crazy about knives. I sharpen my knives like every week or so if I sense that they're a little dull. All right, so first of all, we're gonna take the stem off of this chili. It's a Chile Pasa. And I mean, I feel like they call it Chile Pasa because it looks like a raisin almost, huh? All right, so we're just gonna de-seed that. I'm just gonna cut it here. And don't touch your eyes after you've been touching these. Luckily I have glasses on because you might get a little burnt. So just be careful there. Okay, so we're just gonna take the seeds off of that one. Really easy, very straightforward, nothing too crazy. This is meant to be really fun, not complicated, so don't be intimidated by cooking. Super fun. I remember when I was a kid, I'm doing the other chili by the way. So I'm just cutting it, cut the little stem off, then I'm gonna cut this lid. I'm just gonna cut it in half here. Whoop. I'm gonna take the seeds out. That's gonna be super easy, nothing crazy. I remember as a kid, I would always be so curious about what my mom or my grandma were making. And, you know, I would always be there like metido, you know, always wondering, what are you guys doing? Can I eat something? And that's how the story goes. That's really how I learned how to cook and why I enjoy it so much. I'm just gonna take this out here and I have a bin here where I'm gonna put all my stuff. All right, so I'm gonna grab the little pan that's really hot, and I'm gonna put these seeds into the little pan. And okay, you don't want to burn them either. You just want to give them like a light toast, because if you kind of give them too much of a burn, then you're gonna end up with something that's gonna be a little too bitter. All right, so I'm gonna put this aside. I'm gonna give it a little, see? This is what it looks like, and oh, it smells really nice too. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what it is. All right, that looks really great already. Nothing crazy. And okay, so let's get started with our other vegetables, right? For our sauce, I'm gonna put my onions in there. You're gonna hear it. Tell me if you hear it. Oh, wow. Yeah. So you want to get a really nice char on that, okay? There we go. I'm gonna put the garlics in as well. And don't worry about really like burning this too much, because I mean that's really the whole point. You know, you want to really introduce a lot of really deep charred flavors into it. So then that's what your sauce is going to be mostly. Really, it's going to be really nice, very deep flavors. And that's just how us Guatemalans are. You know, we're deep, we're thoughtful, we care. What a better way to, you know, to let people know that you care about them too than by making them tamales. They're gonna love you forever. All right. So I mean, you can. Most of these things don't really fit in here, so I'm just gonna.
And you just put the whole thing in there, the whole tomato.
Yeah. Whole tomato. You don't even gotta cut it up. You gotta do nothing to it. Drop it in there. Don't even worry about it. Just kind of set it and forget it, like that commercial says. All right. So this is done. Look at that. We're like, you know, I don't know, 75% there. Well, maybe not that much, but you get the idea. All right, so let's start on, I have this big container right here, right? It's a big Dutch oven. That's actually where I make most of my breads as well. I make sourdough bread, and this is where I make it. I also make beer. I have a beer section over here that I can show you guys later. But for right now, we're going to make our masa, right? So we have our corn flour, rice flour. We have also some consome in here. And what we're gonna add to this is the oil, which I mentioned in the recipe. I increased it to 6 tablespoons. But normally what you would do is that you would add lard, right? So pork lard, you know, when you make bacon and you render the fat, basically the fat part that you're left with that looks kind of like a oil, when that kind of cools down, it gets kind of white, and that's pretty much lard. It's just pig fat. So you can use pig fat as well, but today I'm just going to be using olive oil. I'm sorry, vegetable oil, okay? And I'm just going to just drop it in here. Let me get some water first because I want to mix some water into it. All right, I have this jar here I guess I can use. And what I'm going to use in here that I tested previously was about 6 cups of water is what's going to work for this. All right, because you want it to have a little bit of a kind of like a wet consistency. You're not really trying to make like a very solid dough. And the rice flour was really going to help to get like kind of the gluten structure and get it kind of like that nice, not too dry and also like not too wet consistency. So let's do that now. I'm just adding like, you know, like warm water, totally fine. This in here, there's already 2 cups. So let's 2, add 4. Okay. And I can already smell, I don't know if you're doing this with me right now, but I can already smell the really nice roasted vegetables that are being roasted right now. And this made it smells like amazing. And this, oh, remember your seeds. Don't forget about your seeds. Because you see how they're like smoking a little bit maybe? I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're definitely smoking. Okay, so remember, light toast, not anything too crazy. Give it a little mix. Put it right back on there. You can put it on low heat for now. Just kind of let them chill. And the other vegetables are looking good. Woo! There you go. Did you hear that? You can kind of start flipping your tomatoes little by little. Flip your other vegetables. No big deal. Very easy. Nothing crazy. What am I doing? I'm getting fork. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So how are you guys doing with your vegetables? How are they looking? Okay. So I'll show you right now what mine looks like, and you can kind of compare with yours. But this is what mine looks like currently. Okay, that's what it looks like currently, which is perfect. Exactly what I wanted. And I'm just gonna kind of give them like a little flip. You know, everybody in here getting happy, nice and roasted. You can give your tomatoes like a little bit of a turn, totally fine as well. And I think right now you can probably turn off your seeds, your sesame seeds and your pumpkin seeds. You can probably turn them off, totally fine.
How charred do you want them?
So those should be just lightly toasted, right? So you're gonna see that they're gonna be maybe something like this. Maybe that should work. I don't know if you can see that, but just nice. Very lightly toasted, okay? All right, so those are good. All right, we're gonna wait for these vegetables. We're gonna continue on our masa. I've already added 4 cups of water. I'm gonna continue to add another 2 cups. There we go. All right, and we're gonna add our oil right here. I just added all that. That's like about 6 tablespoons or so. And I'm gonna use the best instrument that we have in our kitchen. You know what that is? It's our hands. Literally, the best instrument that you have in your kitchen is your hands. Your hands are so flexible, you can do anything with it. And I remember this is exactly how, you know, I was brought up making most things anyways. So it's a little messy, but you know what? It's just really fun, right? Just make sure you wash your hands out.
Flour on your hand first?
Nope, because it's gonna be very wet. See?
Yeah, yeah.
See the consistency of this is very, very wet, but it's for a reason. It's because we're basically going to be cooking the dough, right? So in other cultures, you'll also see that what they do is that they'll use scalding water, like really hot water, to make like a certain type of like dough that they serve with sauces or stews. I remember we lived in South Africa for like a month, and I know that's one of the dishes that they do that with. So we're going to be doing something sort of similar, but instead of adding hot water, we're just going to add just cool water to this, and then we're going to put it over the stovetop and keep on mixing it and mixing it for like about like 20 minutes. All right, this looks pretty good to me. Good. So look, watch. You see this? Is that consistency, right? Yep, so it is wet for sure. It's a little wet, okay? But you just want to make sure you break up all the clumps that you have in there. Just using, like I said, the best instrument in your house, your hands. And once we're doing that, tomatoes look good. So make sure you keep an eye on those as well. Once you're done doing that, you can really just come over here and, oh boy. All right, I think I might add like a little more water. You know, all this sort of stuff is never really an exact science. I mean, you should have seen when I asked my mom for this recipe, she had it written down on a piece of paper. I don't even know how old this piece of paper is, but it was for like 50 tamales. So I adapted it so it would be only for 10 tamales. So what you're making today is 10 tamales, okay? All right, so wash your hands because you're not gonna really need them anymore. Right. And once you do that, you come back to your dough. Right. So you're gonna see it's very wet dough. You're gonna put it on your stovetop, and then what you're gonna do is turn it on like medium low-ish, kind of. And then you're just gonna grab like a spoon like this. Like I just have a regular wooden spoon. Okay. And you're just gonna mix it. And this looks really good. I like this consistency. Okay. So keep on mixing it and mixing it. And I remember, you know, when you have tamales, it's never something that you do or that you make, and you're only going to be making like 10 of them. You know, the batch recipe that my mom sent me was literally for 50 tamales. So she normally makes actually about 150 to 200 tamales at a time. So imagine that, like you're making so many tamales. Again, we like to eat, you know, we like to, you know, it's a perfect time also to be with your family or be with like your friends, and we get like a whole thing going. You know, we have friends over and we'll invite them to all mix the masa. Because there's a reason why we all mix the masa, by the way. And I'll tell you right now, but let me just make sure you're watching your vegetables. Don't forget, I'm gonna actually zoom in my camera a little bit here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Can you see that? All right. So, wow, look at that. Now we're back. All right, so I'm just gonna continue to mix this. Mix it.
With this recipe.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this recipe my mom, you know, gave me, and I just adapted it for like 10 instead of like a million tamales. But yeah, you know, yeah, you have friends over, everyone's hanging out, and everyone has to have a go at mixing the dough. And the reason why, like, is because you don't want to give it. It's called what is it called? Mal de ojo or mal ojo, something like that, right? So you don't want to give it a bad eye. Direct translation, but you get the point. And I think it's just like a thing that they say so that, you know, not one person is doing all the work. But every time I go, we make tamales, and everyone has to, at least anyone that has seen the dough, has to go and also give it a mix, at least for a few minutes.
Sweet.
So we're just gonna continue here. I might add like a little more water because I want it to kind of cook down a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna add just like maybe like 1 more cup of water, and I'm just gonna continue to mix it. Just be very careful because it kind of splashes everywhere. Luckily, it's not like very hot. All right, so these vegetables are looking really good. Oh yeah, wow. All right, so I'm gonna move. Make sure you keep an eye out on your vegetables, guys. Okay, don't make them too burnt. You don't want them like black. All right, because otherwise you're gonna kind of introduce some harsh flavors in there. But for the most part, you get what to do. I'm just gonna mix these around a little bit. Put some over here. Move some around over here. All right. All right, these look really good. All right, I think now you're at a point right now, I think, where you can turn your vegetables off. Totally fine. And just kind of let them be for a little bit. All right, so you'll notice your dough's like still a little wet. Totally fine. Okay, so just keep on mixing your dough. Again, this is probably the part that's gonna take like the longest, but it's totally fine. You're in good hands. I got you. Hold my hand. I'll hold yours, sort of deal. Don't worry about it, okay? Just keep on mixing, kind of mix away all the clumps. And yeah, you should see when my family makes this, it's like my mom has a pot. I'm not even kidding. It's like this big. And she just puts like all this stuff in there, and like there's no real recipe. Again, you know, she does everything by like going up here and tasting it and saying, oh, it needs a little more salt, or it needs a little more Consome, or whatever, you know. So just get this to, you can put it on like medium heat perhaps, and just keep on mixing it, making sure it doesn't stick at the bottom. If someone does come in the room and you're doing this, they also have to mix it. Otherwise, you're going to curse the masa, which is maybe just like a folk's tale, but you got to share the work, right? So just keep on mixing it. Let's see. Once it starts like bubbling, it'll be like, that's the point where you're going to be like kind of counting down a little bit. So maybe 15 minutes after that, you should be okay to turn it off. So this is like the most labor intensive part, by the way, because you need some hands for this. You can't get tired. All right, so just continue to mix and mix. And like I said, you're gonna see some kind of like little bubbles here. All right, I think these are okay now. All right, so since these are pretty much all roasted and everything, I'm gonna come over and show you guys.
Yeah, they look
So let me show you right now. I'm kind of focusing. All right, so you see what they look like, right? See, so the tomatoes, it's okay because some of them are going to kind of fall apart like this, but it's just the skin, totally fine. I'm gonna show you some other stuff here. This is just one of the peppers, remember that we had in there? And mine right now, this is like fairly charred, right? But this is the other pepper that I had in there. And this is one of the green tomatillos. So you see it has like a little bit of color, nothing too much. I think one of the garlics got a little, it's actually not too bad. But I know one of the other garlics that was in here was like, very hot, very burnt. But that's totally fine, right? So, and the reason why we're doing it like this, it's because it's gonna really introduce a lot of really strong, deep flavors into our sauce. Speaking of the sauce, we're gonna get started on it. Okay?
nice.
All right, so let me give my masa a quick mix here because I don't want it to burn. Make sure you guys are also watching your masa. Okay, so make sure you're watching and make sure you give it a mix. If you think the heat is too high, just like lower it back down. You go back up here so you guys can see.
So for what occasion do you make tamales for?
So normally, I remember when we would make tamales, it would be for tamales, we would normally make them for Christmas time, sometimes Thanksgiving, or sometimes for Semana Santa, right? So Holy Week, which we know is like a kind of end of March, beginning of April in Guatemala. They do all the thing. I forgot what it's called. I'm not a devout Catholic, I'm sorry. But, you know, they do the thing where they have, like, you know, Virgin Mary and other saints. They carry him. They do a whole really big thing, huge celebration, actually. I haven't been to one in a really, really long time, but they're really beautiful. And that's when they do them. That's when they do tamales, mostly festive times, right? Because you want to try to feed like a ton of people. Just so delicious. So why not? Okay, so let's give our masa mix. You'll see that it's gonna start to get a little harder to mix, right? So you can, I mean, at this point, you could probably even just kind of give it a taste, see if it needs maybe some more salt, some more like consomme, or any other little thing that you think is, if you think it's too thick, you can kind of put a little more water, kind of blend it in there. It's good. That's really good. Yeah, it tastes good. I'm not gonna add too much salt anymore because I know the sauce is gonna have a little more salt and a few other ingredients. So it's totally gonna be fine. Okay, so this mousse is almost ready.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like shorter than I thought. You know, the only thing is that, like I was telling you guys, when my mom makes it, she makes like 200 of them. So and that usually takes them like more than an hour, I think, to make the masa, because there's just so much. We're making like a way smaller version of that. So that's why we probably don't have to, you know, mix that much or don't have to wait that long. Oh my God, I saw a bubble. Okay. All right. So that looks good to me, I think. We'll let this ride for a little bit, put it on low, and let's get started on our sauce, okay? Or what they call recado, which is, I guess, loosely translates to something like a gravy. Okay, so I'm gonna get my blender out, and I'll be right back. No, I'm not going anywhere. It's just down here. Oh boy. Just gonna plug my blender in here. Okay. Now I'm gonna take blender. I'm gonna take a little fork thing, and I am literally just gonna drop the tomatoes in here, skin and everything. Totally fine, doesn't matter. The tomatillos, my Chile Pasa, my onions, the garlic, and the Chile Guajillo as well, and a little bit of cinnamon. It was like a stick of cinnamon that I had, but you could probably use like powdered cinnamons. It's probably fine, guys. Don't even worry. I would use maybe like a teaspoon. Yeah, teaspoon. If you don't have like a stick of cinnamon. Okay. So just, you know, alternatives like, you know, because if you don't have one ingredient, don't be scared to not try it. Just substitute it with something else. You know, totally fine. That's how, you know, most of everything works. Almost all recipes work that way. You don't have to have the same exact things. All right. So I'm going to add 1 cup of water to this, and then I'm going to blend it. Okay. Well, let me first mix my masa, because make sure you got to be a little aggressive with it. Okay. Masa's looking good. Nice. I hope you guys are looking good too. I'm also going to add to the things that I just roasted, my seeds. If you remember, we roasted some seeds, right? So I'm just going to drop them in there. Ready? Just drop yours in there too as well. There you go. Those are in. And now I'm going to add, it's like a teaspoon each of black pepper, some salt, and then also some ground cloves. All right?
Okay.
Just drop it in there. Yep. If you're wondering about the measurements or anything like that, I'm sure the recipe will go along with this video. So you guys can take a look there. That's good. I'm going to hide my pans and my sink so you don't see them. And then I'm going to just put the lid on this guy. Oh, I forgot the water, huh? All right, water now. And one thing that I've seen my mom do also is that she will pass, once the sauce is like all blended, she'll pass it through a strainer. Just because sometimes the seeds will leave like a little tiny things in them, but you could do whatever you feel comfortable with. It's no big deal. You know? You can, if you want a smoother sauce, pass it through a strainer. If you don't want a smoother sauce and you don't care, then skip that step. Whatever you want. All right, guys, here we go. So let me power this on. Okay,
Looks
off of
gorgeous.
mute. Yeah, it's actually, it tastes really good when as soon as I opened this, I got this big whiff of just like really smoky tomatoes and, you know, everything that was in here. Really delicious, like very rich, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, I think it looks, to me, it looks good. It looks like a good consistency. Honestly, you could probably put like another like chili in here and make it into like a sauce that you use for dipping or like salsa pretty much, like put it on whatever you want. So, yeah, that's good. It is a little chunky, in the, you know, because of the seeds, but I think I might give it one more pass. And yeah, because it's a little chunky. Or what I can do is actually just put it through a what is it called? A sieve or a colander, whatever you want to call it. But for now, I'm going to give it just one more pass. And while I do this for a few more seconds, just make sure you watch your masa, mix it around. And then while that's going, I'm actually going to peel a potato because I want to dice it into like small cubes. All right, so I'm going to put you on mute because this thing is like super loud. Okay, I think we're okay now, right? So this is, our masa is pretty much done, man. That's it, guys. You can turn your heat off of your masa. You'll notice that it's like a little thicker, which is exactly where we want it. I think my mom makes it like a little more wetter. Wetter? Is that a word? I don't know. But she normally makes it a little more wet than what I made it. Mine's like it has like a little more of a solid consistency, but totally fine. Like I said, you know, this isn't a, you know, not a crazy exact science. All you want to do is just make sure every ingredient is like together, and that should be pretty much it. Okay, so now moving on to our potato, right? So I just peeled this potato. You can wash it and do whatever you want to do with it. And there's like a little thing there that I didn't like. And this is the stuff that's going to go on top of the tamale. Okay, so once we put our masa, our sauce, our meat, or you can use whatever ingredient you want to put in there. If you don't, if you're meatless, then you can do something like tofu or more potatoes, or I don't know, whatever else you want that you want. Anything will work. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this into thirds, right, sideways. So I basically made 3 kind of big chunks of potato like this. You see that, right? All right, so now I kind of just stacked 2 of them, and I'm going to cut kind of like small cubes out of them. I'll show you what I'm talking about once I cut them. But the cubes are probably going to be like 1/4 of an inch each. You don't want them too big because you want them to fit. You want them to fit in your tamale too, and you want to be able to close your tamale. Otherwise, your tamale is just going to be overflowing. Okay. So my cubes look something like this. I'll show you guys. You can see. Oh, this is okay. That's what they look like. Almost dropped my studio setup that I have. I've literally put my laptop on a chair. You gotta be innovative. You know, you can't just, not everything fits the mold. You gotta just kind of work with what you got. Okay. All right. So the potatoes are done. Put them to the side. And in the end, you're gonna want to have enough potatoes for those 10 tamales that you're making. If you're gonna be making more, put another potato in. I think in the recipe I mentioned 2, but really all you need is 1. And now what I'm gonna do with this bell pepper right here is cut it into strips that kind of look like this. Okay, kind of very thin, totally fine because per tamale, you're usually going to put 2. But I might put more because I have extra, so why not? All right, so if I'm just gonna use enough for 10. I'm gonna save the other one for like a salad or something. So I'm gonna use like maybe like 20 pieces, so that should be, yeah, there's enough. I'm not gonna count them all. Like, you look like a psycho counting peppers. Okay, so guys, we're almost done. This is so great. The masa's good. It's not too crumbly and it's not like too wet where it's runny. Let's see. I'm wondering if I should add a little bit more water. I think it should be okay actually because it's nice and malleable and that's really what you want in the end, right? Okay, and I think we're almost done. So I'm just gonna put my potatoes in this small container right here. All right, so that's that. Put those there to the side. We're not gonna use them yet. I'm actually going to put the sauce that I'm gonna use right in here. And none of this sauce will go to waste either because I'm literally gonna use it I might just repurpose it for something else, you know? Or do you guys have a similar color of sauce?
Yeah, and I think I would use the strainer for mine, like take the out and stuff.
Yep, that's right. So totally fine. Actually, that's what my mom suggested that I do as well. But I didn't mind the texture. I think the texture is fine. But she would probably be like, no, mejor no, mijo. Es mejor. Make her sound like an old lady. She's not. Okay, so this is good. I'm just gonna put my stuff to the side here because like I told you before, I'm a neat freak. I like everything in its place. All right, so let's get started on the tamales. You guys ready for the wrapping piece? Yeah, okay.
For the leaves at the store, they sold them frozen. They didn't have any fresh banana leaves.
No. They don't. I don't even think they sell them fresh anywhere, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
it's perfect if you got them frozen. Perfectly fine.
How do you how would you like? Do I just put them in a thing of water and let them?
What you should do, I'm gonna show you how to wrap them now. But what I did ahead of time is, are they still frozen?
I left them out and I put them in some water to chill them.
Oh, okay, that's good. So basically, what you want to do now is take them out of the water, and then just take them like big leaf by big leaf. You'll see that they're folded a few times.
Yeah, it's like pages or something.
Exactly. So what you want to do is take them out of the water and take one out and then just clean it with like I don't know, like a paper towel, for example.
Okay.
Totally fine. Because they're going to have like a little bit of like stuff on them. So you just want to make sure that they're clean because you're going to be putting your tamale on it, which is the most important part of this lesson. All right. So, I'm going to show you something really cool too. Oh, you know what? I put it in the freezer. I'm going to show you guys something very cool that I thought was unique about this. So this is what mine looked like. I got some from Goya. And I don't know if you can read. This is probably too small for you guys to read, but let me see if I can get it there. It's too small for you guys to read. Let me see. Hold on. I want to show you something that we can all be proud of.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. What does that say? That's right. It's a product of Guatemala. Look at that. Nice, right? All right. So that's what I wanted to show you. Be proud of your roots, people. Because our roots also happen to make banana leaves. Great. Okay. So what I did is I kind of like went ahead and, I prepared like a few things and I'm going to show you my assembly right now, right? Because the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to get our masa. We're going to put the masa down first. That's our base. Then we're going to put our sauce on, and then we're going to put a few of the potatoes. And then we can put whatever meat you want to use, put it in there, chicken or pork or tofu or whatever. And then we're going to top it off with some peppers, and then we're going to put a little bit more sauce on top and then close it. Okay? So let me know if you at least have one like banana leaf ready to go, and you have like some tin foil, maybe like this big. You could use that. So let me know when you guys are ready. Yeah, no, so this sheet right here, I got it from a piece that was literally like this big. Yeah. So it's this long and this big. So basically just cut a piece that's pretty much this big. Okay, it looks almost, it's almost a little bigger than a piece of paper, if that gives you some good guidance. Okay, and then the tin foil is gonna be the other layer that we're gonna add, which is gonna make sure that our banana, or I'm sorry, that the tamale doesn't like ooze out or, you know, falls apart. Okay, because normally, so here's a really cool story. Normally, while you guys are cleaning your leaves and doing all this stuff, normally what we would do in Guatemala would be to get leaves. I'm talking about like literally straight from the tree. We'd go to the backyard of my grandma's house. We would chop the thing down, or sometimes she would go to the store and get them, but they're always, 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 always fresh, never frozen. These are actually not bad either. But she would get the leaves, and then there's a middle part of the banana leaf that's like it's a little more malleable. It's kind of hard. And with that, they would cut it into strips, and they would make a sort of like a long string out of them. And with that string they would just wrap the tamale with the banana leaf. And then with that string, they would tie around the tamale to make sure it doesn't fall apart. And that's how we would normally do it. But we don't have that. So we gotta kind of have to, you know, kind of make up a way to make sure that the tamale doesn't like ooze out or whatever. And I decided to do pork. So that's what I'm gonna do with mine. Okay, and I just have maybe like, there's probably 10 large pieces of, I'm sorry, not large. There's like 10 small pieces of pork in here or something. So nothing crazy again. And you guys can probably see all my stuff here. I'm actually gonna show you what that looks like, okay? I'm gonna bring the camera over and you guys are gonna get to see it. Ready? Okay, so this is what my current setup looks like, right? That's my pork right there, and that's my sauce. And then I have my masa all the way back over there. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing next is I'm gonna be assembling the tamales. Oh, you can ignore this. I have my my CO2 stuff there that I use to carbonate my beer with. All right, you guys ready for the assembly? All right, so I'm just gonna get a spoon real quick. And I'm getting one of these. It's like a silicone thing, silicone spoon or whatever it's called. And what I'm gonna be doing is, maybe I should go, nah, it's okay. There we go. So I'm just gonna be getting, maybe that's like, I think I need to bring this over here, but I don't have the space for it. Maybe if I flip this way, there we go. Wow, guys, look at this. Wow, nice. I have everything here now. Gorgeous. Look at this. I could make like an assembly line here just by myself, just bah, 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 bah. Okay, so number one, remember I told you in the beginning that tamales are made out of several different components. They have several different layers, all of which serve a purpose, right? And that purpose is deliciousness. Right, so here we go. I'm just gonna kind of mush it together, kind of bring it into shape. And I'm gonna bring that's maybe like a little less than a cup or maybe about a cup in here. Okay, so you guys see what that looks like? Beautiful, right? And then you're gonna kind of make a little hole in the middle right there. And I'm gonna grab my spoon, which I had here. I'm gonna put some sauce. I'm gonna put like a little, maybe like 1.5 spoonfuls, maybe, something like that. There you go. Now I'm going to put a piece of pork in there, but I'm going to be touching other stuff, so I'm not going to be touching it with my hand. So these are just pork short ribs. Again, you can use chicken, you can use pork like I'm doing right now, or you can totally use something else. I don't care. Use whatever you want. It's your tamale. It's not my tamale. It's your tamale.
And the meat is not cooked yet, right?
No, this is raw. Right,
okay.
And the reason is because you're going to be steaming this for maybe like an hour or so that everything gets nicely cooked. So now you're going to add the potatoes, just a few, I literally added like 4 little pieces. That's it. And now you're going to add your peppers, some red bell peppers right there. Just kind of cross them. Doesn't matter, honestly. Like, again, like I said, it's your tamale. Nobody else's tamale. You can do whatever you want with it. And then I'm just gonna top it with a little bit of sauce. Okay. And that's it. That's You've made a tamale almost. I want to show you guys what this looks like. Yeah, but see, this is what it looks like. Let's see if I can get it to kind of focus on. Oh no! I was dropping. Can you guys see that? Yeah, it's a little unfocused, but you get the idea. All right, so now that's pretty much it. You know, so now here's the key to wrapping your tamales, right? So what you want to do is that you want to make sure that you fold this part, sort of like covering the tamale a little bit, and then you're going to fold the other part, and then you're going to kind of meet in the middle. This is going to be a snug tamale. Okay, so now when it's like this, when you can see there's like a little hole in the middle, right? So it's kind of like almost like a little tent for it, right? Okay, so remember, so what I said is basically just fold it. You're just gonna fold it in half, like this.
Okay.
Okay, and then you're gonna kind of meet in the middle, and then you're gonna take a little bit of that excess that you have there, and just kind of fold it over itself, like a small little fold, because you want to fold it over again. Okay, kind of pinch it there. Okay, and then you're gonna do it again, but just make sure you don't do it too tight because it might break the aluminum foil. All right. Exactly. Now what you're gonna do, listen to this, you're gonna kind of go to the ends and kind of push it in gently a little bit, kind of so packs it all in the middle, right? Now you're just gonna take the side flaps, which have nothing in them, and fold them over. Nothing else, nothing to it. Look at that. That looks amazing. You should be proud
It's
of this.
perfect. It's a little bun.
Yeah, that's it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you're just going to continue to do that. So let's do another one. And I'm actually going to kind of focus in on here and let you guys see my hand, okay? And you'll be able to see what that looks like. So let me get my camera ready here. I got a bunch of stuff here. Whoop. So you guys are going to really see what this really looks like. Okay? I'm gonna remove this because it kind of looks a little messy. All right, so you guys can see my hands, totally fine. And what I'm gonna do is that I am going to do this. I'm gonna grab some of the masa, like I said, maybe like about a cup, something like that. You see my masa is like a little dry, I think, but you know what, it'll work. It's still gonna be really delicious. Okay, add some of this. This is all a hands-on experience here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of the sauce, just like that. I'm gonna add like maybe like 1.5 spoonfuls of whatever spoon size that you have. Okay, now I'm gonna add like what I got was a pork rib. So I'm just gonna put it right in there, just like that.
And what did you season it with? It looks like it's
Oh, this is just salt and pepper.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to get crazy with it. And then I'm gonna add some of the potatoes, maybe on the sides, because I put a big chunk of pork in there. Okay. Now I'm gonna do maybe one of these, maybe one of these. You know, kind of looks good to kind of design it. Maybe give it a little crisscross. I don't know, whatever you want. And then on top of that, I'm gonna add a little more sauce. Okay. And then again, here comes the part where you're going to need to practice on. I'm just gonna turn this over this way so I have like a little more space. Right, so now look, I'm gonna show you this back part first. You're gonna fold it over this way like this, right? So you kind of have like a wall of tamale leaf or a banana leaf. Then you're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side, like that. And I know you can't see it, but that's totally okay. I'm gonna show you what it looks like here. See? Okay, so it's kind of like an empty burrito. Now what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna fold one part over, kind of like that, right? And just make sure that it actually does catch on the fold.
Okay.
Right there, like that. How's it going so far? Good? So now I have a little more space to do another fold, which always is good so they don't kind of fall apart. So I just did another fold. Okay? You see how now this is like lifted here? That's my fold. So now I'm just gonna fold it over, right, so it's flat. Right? And then I'm gonna kind of push it a little, very gently on the sides. Okay, see how everything kind of goes to the middle, right? Okay, now you're just gonna take this part, hold it over, give it a little whoop. And that's it, guys. Okay, so that's ready. All right, so let me put this to the side where I have my tamales here, and I'm gonna steam them later. But I want to show you. So I'm just gonna put these to the side because I'm gonna finish these later, I think. Here we go. Perfect, perfect. And I'm gonna show you what a finished product might look like. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this to the side here somewhere. Yeah, I made some yesterday actually, so I steamed them already. But I'm gonna show you guys what that's like. Oh, it's hot. Oh my god. Oh boy. Very hot. I don't even
Do
know
you
if I'm
leave it
taking
in
that.
there? How hot is it? And you said for an hour, like over an hour
Yeah.
at like
So
low heat,
what
medium heat?
yeah, so what you can do is bring if you steam them, it's best to steam them because then they get less water in them. Otherwise, you can just like boil them perfectly fine. I like steaming better because it uses less water. It's like, less of space that you need. But for mine, what I did is like you cover them with water, bring the water to a boil, and then from that point, you can do like maybe 1 hour. Um, I know for like when you're making massive amounts of tamales, you have to boil them for like 3 or 4 hours.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like insane, yeah. But for this, I think these should be. I've been boiling these now since maybe like 2:30. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. So right now it's 4 p.m. And so they've been there for like an hour and a half. They already had cooked meat in it, so all I needed to do was for the masa to kind of set. Actually, since we have like a few more minutes, I'm going to show you guys how to make a sort of like a traditional side. It's going to be the repollo. Okay, so this looks like this. I'm gonna just bring my ingredients over real quick. I'm gonna want some cilantro as well. Obviously, cilantro, one of the many staples of Guatemalan cooking, besides like other stuff like nuts and chilies. So I have my like cabbage, just regular cabbage. I have a really tiny one. Okay, I'm just gonna cut it in half, and then you're literally just gonna finely cut it into kind of like ribbonish things. Okay. And if anybody's watching this, you are experiencing literally probably the most authentic like Guatemalan side ever. Definitely one of those things that you want to have because for the most part, a tamale is, kind of soft, right? And what this does is that it gives you a little kind of like a crunchy, acidic texture. And it's a little spicy too because it has some jalapenos in it. And when you eat something, that's all that it's really about. You always want to have those, kind of different textures in there. That helps keep your palate kind of, intrigued, right? So you're always thinking, oh, there's something crunchy. Oh, there's something salty. Oh, there's something sweet. You ever wonder why, salty and sweet things go together? Like a chocolate and chilies, perfectly. They go perfectly together. So now you know. Always all those opposite things that really make it. So I'm sorry if I'm chopping very loudly. Okay, so almost done here. I'm gonna try not to cut myself because I've cut myself doing this already a few times in the past. Okay, so I have this big container here, which is where I'm just gonna put everything. Nothing crazy, like I said. Okay, you might want to get ready. This isn't in the recipe that I wrote for you guys, but I mean, I can write it out there too. So don't even worry about it. Yeah, yep, this will go with the tamales. This is just like a picado de repollo, right? So it's just like sliced cabbage. Yeah. So I'm gonna prepare my pepper here. This is just like a regular jalapeno. Okay, so nothing too crazy. I'm gonna de-seed it. Um, and some people say like the seeds are the ones that have like the most heat in them. In reality, it's actually the membrane that lives inside of like where the seeds are that has most of the heat, or that like capsaicin is what it's called, right? So that's why, I mean, some parts I guess would be the seeds, but for the most part, it's most of the membrane that's inside of the pepper. So now what I'm doing with this pepper is I'm gonna just cut it thinly. Wash your fingers. Don't touch your eyes after this, because Some of these peppers are very hot. Okay. And I'm just gonna keep on slicing, 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 slicing. You want to cut them into kind of like long pieces like this. Okay. So after you've cut them into long pieces like that, you're gonna turn them over on the side, and then you're just gonna keep on dicing and dicing, because what you want to do is get little tiny cubes, right? So now you're gonna just slice it. Okay. And I remember in Guatemala, actually, we have this pepper. It's called a chiltepe. And a chiltepe is like a very tiny, small pepper. It's literally like not even the size of this like stem of a jalapeno. And it is, oh my God, it is like so spicy. Oh, very spicy. So you got to be careful when you're using that. I mean, jalapenos compared to that little tiny pepper is like nothing. You guys ever heard of that, by the way? The chiltepe pepper?
I haven't, no.
No? Well, that's another Guatemalan staple right there.
Oh.
Always use it. We have like a nice sauce that we make out of them as well. So I got my cabbage in here. I got my one jalapeno. Then I'm gonna add like a little bunch of cilantro here, maybe like, I don't know, this much, whatever much that amounts to. If you don't like cilantro, then you can always just use like a kind of like a mix of herbs, like mint, for example, or parsley. That's okay. But I would say definitely use cilantro. So you just want to kind of like give it like a quick kind of fine dice like this, right? Because you don't want like big chunks of leaves in your in your teeth, but you do want that flavor of the cilantro in there for sure. Okay. And that's it. Okay, now I'm going to add it in here, drop it in. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to rinse my hands, because otherwise I don't want to have a bunch of spicy stuff on there. Okay, and yeah, I think we're almost done, guys. We're just going to add some salt. I have a little owl salt thing here, maybe like a teaspoon there or so. And now we're going to add our lime. All right, I'm just going to grab my limes from here. I'm just gonna make, I'm gonna use 2 limes. It's just like, why not? You want that acidity, you want that freshness of the lime. So that's really gonna work really nicely with this. And what that's gonna do is essentially you're just creating like a sort of like a quick pickle for your cabbage. My mouth is already like watering. Get all the drops in there and not, you know, just because I'm just so cheap. I don't want to waste the lime. That's another thing that comes with being Guatemalan, by the way, being cheap. I'm very proud of it. I call it being resourceful, by the way. That's just a thing you got to deal with, you know. Hey, that's just how it is. You know, I make ginger tea all the time, and I'll save the ginger that, you know, that I, instead of throwing it away, and then I'll make like a ginger extract juice from it. So, and it works. All right, so squeeze that lime in there. You know, and it's really gonna give you like really nice bright flavors to kind of go with your tamales. So almost done here. Okay, I think it's good. You did a good job, guys. Look at that. Ah, look at that. You just dropped the garbage out of me. Fancy. Okay, now I think we're okay. So I'm just gonna clean my station here, because that's what regular humans do. They just clean. Like I said before, I'm a clean freak. I gotta make sure everything's always clean. Okay, and I am going to grab like a little fork or a spoon or something. Oh, a fork is good. Okay, and this is what it looks like. You guys see that? And there's also, you know, our cabbage or cilantro and salt and jalapenos. I'm just gonna give it a quick mix here. Yep. And the tamales will really be okay. They'll be fine if you freeze them. They could be good for up to like a year. Yeah, they could be good like for a really long time.
And do you only eat them for dinner or for lunch as well?
I prefer to have them for either breakfast or lunch. Because if you have them for dinner, it's just a lot of calories, and you know, I'm trying to stay in decent shape. So, but I feel like if I have that many calories, then I go directly to sleep. This is like, it's a just a bad recipe, you know? So I'd rather have it in the morning for sure, because it gives you tons of energy. It's very calorific, high in calories.
Calorific.
So yeah. So I'm gonna taste my little cabbage mix now. It's spicy. Spicy, yeah. Okay. Now I have my tamales that I just been pre-making here while we were chatting. And these ones I've been boiling for like about maybe an hour and a half, perhaps. You know, just check on your tamales and see if they're done or if they feel too soft. Then keep them on there for like a little more, perhaps. But I'm gonna serve mine, and I think this should be okay. But there's really only one way to find out. They're very hot. I'm gonna put mine in here real quick, okay? Oh wait, you know what? You know what I recently got? I recently got tongs. Never had tongs. Literally just got them. But we also just moved into this apartment, so we were like very ill equipped for most things. Okay. So it might be like a little wet because of the water, but that's what it looks like. Okay. Now it's time for the moment of truth. I think mine are might be a little runny. But let's see. Oof. So you want to you're basically just unfolding them the same way that you folded them. Okay. Very hot. Oh, I'll tell you what though, that leaf, the banana leaf is really what gives it a ton of flavor. And if you make a tamale without the banana leaf, you're not really making a tamale. You're not going to have the same flavor. You're just going to have corn masa with some ingredients, and I'm sure it'll be good, but it's not really going to give you that real tamale flavor that you're looking for. So it's super important to use the banana leaf, okay? And here we go. Oh my God, look at that. This is actually really good. Wow.
Close up view, close up view.
No, this is only for my eyes.
Right.
I'm going to show you. So the reason why I said you should steam them is I'm going to show you right now, because the water will get into your tamale, you know, and it might get it might look a little wet. So let me show you what my tamale looks like right now. You'll see what I mean. Okay, we're almost there. Wow. That looks really, really great. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep it on the close-up because I know you guys want to see it. And I'm just going to add a little bit of my cabbage thing right here and, you know, just top it off. And this is literally, I mean, picture perfect. And now let's give it a taste test. What do you say? I say yes, we're going to give it a taste test. So let me show you guys right now what this is really going to be like. Okay, so now let's give it a taste test, right? Wow, actually the masa's not bad. Yeah, it's not like too, you know, it holds its shape. Okay. So you want to get a little bit of everything in there, some of the sauce, some of the masa, and then some of the cabbage. So here it goes, first taste. It's very hot also, so. It's good. Yeah, I think the masa might be like a little too wet, but yeah, overall I think it's like pretty good. So not bad. I think also it might need a little more time like cooking. So maybe just do 2 hours when you're cooking your tamale. And yeah, everything should work out. You're good. So the sauce tastes good. The chicken's nice and moist. Here's my chicken. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna enjoy this tamale, but yeah. So steam them 2 hours, or maybe boil them. Okay. Kind of give them like a little poke test. See if they're too soft, and maybe just keep them there for a little longer. But I think 2 hours should be much better than just 1.5.
Yay! Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure. Happy to have shown you guys how to make tamales the traditional way. And I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed it. So if you have any questions, you can always just send me a message, and I'll try to reply.